Hello, and welcome to this edition of the Angels and Destiny show. Why is this show called this, you may ask? So I'll tell you. The accepted meaning of angel is messenger, and the accepted meaning of destiny is to make firm establish. So my guest and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And of course, I do like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I will introduce you to my wonderful returning guest, Emily Harrison. But before that, I'd like to say thank you so much for watching the show live at a later date, as it means a lot to both of us to connect with like-minded people. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Ray, and I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy. And I'm a spiritual guide and healer, passionate about helping you reconnect with your divine presence and step into your purpose. Now, through angelic Reiki, angel oracle cards, guided meditations, and exploring past and future lives, I support you in healing your past and creating a soul aligned future. Now, my journey has taught me that with the right tools and guidance, we can all connect with our higher selves, embrace transformation, and live a life of abundance and fulfillment. Now, each episode of this show covers various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation or an angel oracle card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's returning guest, Emily Harrison, about navigating disclosure with the Akashic Records. Now, Emily is the founder director of the Akashic Academy, a modern day mystery school that is empowering humanity to find personal freedom through the Akashic Records. By accessing the Akashic Records, people can discover their soul's mission, the root cause of physical and emotional dis-ease, and learn from and find unseen solutions to the most challenging life circumstances. Now, Emily was named one of the 5 most innovative business women by Entrepreneur Magazine and has been featured on Gaia TV, Coast to Coast Radio, MSN.com, HBO, Netflix, Thrive, the Huffington Post, and who knows what else, and on stage at Harvard University. How amazing. Now, Emily was most recently featured in the NASDAQ billboard in Times Square for her innovative message of self-empowerment through the Akashic Records. Now, working with Emily can include learning to read your own Akashic Records or attend an Akashic immersion on Mount Shasta, helping you quantum jump into the timeline of your highest potential. And we've lost Emily for a moment, but I will continue introducing her. I have worked and continue to work with Emily, so can definitely make a mentor. And I love having her as a guest on the show, as she always brings some amazing wisdom. Now, we have been having some problems with technology at the moment, so we just wait for Emily to come back in again. There we go. Oh, which one am I going to use? I've got 2 of you. Let's see which one comes up. Ta-da!
Okay.
Yay!
Yay!
I
Interesting that
know.
the challenges continue, huh, my friend?
I
Interesting.
know. It's because we're going to be talking disclosure. We've got Mercury retrograde. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting show today. So as I said, Emily teaches you how to read your own Akashic records. And you can attend the Akashic immersion in Mount Shasta, helping you quantum jump into the time of your highest potential. And as I said, I've worked with and continue to work with Emily, so I can definitely recommend her. And I love having her as the guest on the show. She always brings some amazing wisdom, even when we have little technical difficulties. So without further delay, hello, Emily, and welcome and a warm welcome back to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
Well, it feels good to arrive here in this now moment with you as we talked behind the scenes and everyone got to experience here. There's definitely, been some static, been some distortion, some interruption in the field that, I think anytime we talk about these highly sensitive issues and we get into the moments where we can really take back our power, we are going to encounter challenge and shadow along the way. It's a game of mastery. We're going to talk about that more later today. And you shared with everyone that my area of expertise is in the Akashic Records, which I'll give you guys a little background on the records if you're new to the records. But the whole reason that I love the Akashic Records is because through the records we can find self-mastery. And that's really been required for you and I, especially for the past 20 minutes here, as there's been all of these bumps. And even going back before that this morning, I really do feel like your lineage of the angels are here, Miss Ray. You talked about them bringing in a calm. And that's where you and I get to practice our mastery today, as, staying calm with all of these pieces feel like they're hiccuping right before we go live and right before we share and empower people. So high five. We did it. Good job,
We
sister.
did indeed. We did indeed. So, before we get into this fascinating conversation, I want to remind everyone watching that not only can you share this video, but you can also ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Emily and I want to be part of this conversation. So, please don't be shy. Do say hello. I can see we've got some people watching. So, Emily, why don't you remind us about your journey and how we can navigate disclosure with the Akashic Records in these turbulent times?
Absolutely. Well, let's just start with catching everyone up to speed on what the Akashic Records are if you are new. The Akashic Records are the realm of consciousness that hold all information, past, present, all possible futures, and is recorded from a neutral perspective. Neutral means unconditional love and zero judgment. The records are known by a lot of other names. They're known as the Book of Life. They're also known as superconscious intelligence, along with a variety of other ways that people, and not even just spiritual and ancient gurus and ancient mystics, referred to the Akash, but now science is also understanding the Akash, or the ether, the etheric field, more dynamically. And one of the reasons that the Akash is so powerful is because it contains a record, the history of our soul's journey through time. So I love that you talked about past lives and future lives. We are multidimensional beings that have the ability to extract intelligence from where we are experiencing ourselves in other aspects of the time-space continuum, right? From our past lives, from our future lives, from our higher self, from our beings and our guides. And it's just such an exciting time to be here on the planet right now, and collaborating with wonderful artists and mystics and light workers like you, who bring in specific influences like the angels. It just works so beautifully together to help us raise our vibrational frequency. How I got started doing this, you and I have lots of cool things in common. I was an actress, a Hollywood actress for 20 years. And I found that because I did not grow up in Hollywood. I grew up in small town Missouri. So I got this big epic dream vision one day that hit me, that said, go to Hollywood and become an actress. And I did it. I quit school. I moved to Los Angeles. I started acting, although I hadn't acted previously. So I wasn't very good. Yeah, as you know, there's a craft to this. And so I began studying the craft of acting. And while I was getting better at my craft, I was still really nervous in the audition room. So what helped me when I was having all of those nerves was doing things like yoga, tai chi, qigong, meditation. And the more I dove into these intuitive arts that began to open up my consciousness and help me to see life in a different way, my life began to transform. And I had a moment where I stumbled into accidentally healing one of my friends through just a beautiful conversation, which I'm sure that many people out there can relate to. I mean, we're doing our healing work and our soul's work, whether we recognize it or not. But I had this moment where I stumbled into being able to radically help a friend through what I had learned from being so self-studied. And I recognized then, I want to leave Hollywood and I want to inspire people to tap into their potential. Like there's no story that I could participate in Hollywood that's more inspirational than the story of human potential. And so I wanted to study something that allowed me to help others. I didn't really know what it was at that time, Ray, because I love the angels like you. I loved Reiki. I loved learning about mediumship. I loved theta healing. I loved it all. And so as I began to inquire a little deeper about what is going to be my thing, I stumbled onto an ad for an Akashic Records course. And I thought, Akashic Records, that's it. Because again, the records hold every detail of every piece of information about us and the cosmos. I thought, this is like the universal guidebook. I can get any information that I'm excited about learning through this mechanism. And so that became what I decided to study. And I learned from a teacher in Los Angeles and very quickly realized, now she taught me how to read records for other people. And I pretty quickly realized, why, if everybody can do this, why not just teach other people how to do it? Because if I'm reading your records, it's going to come through my perspective, my experiences in life, and that colors the information, right? And how we get it. So if everybody has the ability to read their own soul records, why not? And I created a training that takes people through the process of not only learning how to read their Akashic records, but also why do we want to use them? We want to clear our karma. That's in essence a way of saying self-healing. A lot of times we think of healing as healing our physical bodies, but it's also healing our trauma. It's learning to see our patterns and take responsibility for ourselves, self-leadership, which we'll talk more about today. And then, of course, tapping into our unique genius. Each one of us has something very special to contribute, especially right now during this time, right? And so, understanding what that is, it can be very confusing to figure out what that is and how we show up and give that to the world. My crown is going nuts as I'm talking about this. So that's why I love the Akashic records so much and how I use them specifically with my students. Not only teaching them how to read them, but how do we apply that to their life right now?
Yeah, and I've gone into the, I've trained with them, and I've done the course and that, and gone into Catch Records, and you can find different ways of healing yourself, and I forget what it was once. There was something, and I was kind of like, I don't know, doing it, and you said, well, go into your records and see what they want to tell you, and it's like, oh, okay, oh, so if I do that and do that, and it worked.
Yes, we can create our own medicine through the Akashic records. I mean, that's something that I've done many times and I encourage my students and my clients to do is to just ask and play with the answer. Like for me, when I'm making medicine in the Akashic records, just to give people some context of what that looks like, what happens is I'll start thinking about different healing modalities that I know of or that I've heard about or that I've played with. And then I start thinking about how I can mix them together in this now moment to address whatever it is that I'm noticing, whether it's something in my body or in my emotions. And it's really, you know why we're good at it, Ray? This is why I think we're so good at it. Acting. Acting prepared us. It's improv
Yes,
acting, right? Because it's yes and that those are the rules of improv acting. And so when you're asking your guides, you have to pay attention to what drops into your imagination. You're not allowed to say nothing. You got to pay attention, right? And then you have to get curious and say, all right, what do I do with this? And it becomes this imaginary game that we're playing within. That's what it feels like when we're starting. And then once you do it enough times and you get the results of, hey, it works, you stop caring if it's actually real or not, because it's working, right? So you keep doing it. Yeah, good stuff.
yeah. And a lot of people, seem to think, and this goes back to childhood, where children are told to not use their imagination. You're imagining it, it's not real. Imagination creates. If someone didn't imagine the wheel, we wouldn't have the wheel. If Bill Gates, I know I don't really like you, but if he hadn't imagined Microsoft, we wouldn't have all this computer stuff. So somebody has to imagine something for it to take reality. So we disempower children or young people when we say, you're imagining it,
Yep.
stop making it up.
Ray, I don't know what let's do right now, but let's just make up something and shoot them with some energy right now. Let's clear that through the collective field for
Mm,
everyone who's ready, forward and backward through time. Anyone who has experienced a shame around their imagination from childhood or any distortion in their field about the power of imagination, we just restore that now, turning on the ability to remember the divine potential blueprint of humans and how powerful the imagination is. We're restoring that, bringing that back online. If you want to experience that, you can say yes now, typing
yes.
yes in the comments. Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Cool. What angels are you feeling here, Ray? I'm totally feeling here.
Yeah. We've got Archangel Uriel coming in.
Yes,
Um,
structure. Yep, yep, yep,
and
yep.
and the message I'm getting is, we need to actually start seeing the magic, and actually look at magic. Look at people doing magic tricks. Magic is a great way to help you get back into your imagination. Magic.
Be in the awe and wonderment of life. Yes. Yeah, good stuff. High
Yeah.
five. Okay, so that the idea of the imagination, because I know we want to talk about disclosure and we want to get into that topic. And you asked me what the Akashic Records had to say about disclosure. It's cool. I feel like they're setting us up great though here, right?
Mm.
Because we're going to talk about the 7 Hermetic principles. And we're going to look at disclosure from this perspective of not who's right and who's wrong, which, as you know, when you go into the Akashic Records, sometimes when we go in there, we want them to clear it all up. And we want them to say, yep, that's right. You guys got screwed. No, that's not what they're going to say. The records are going to invite us to see where we've collectively participated in creating this and how we can take responsibility for it, right? But some of the things that are really important in this quest for mastery, that's what we're going to be working on, some mastery today, because we're going to take a bigger look at where we're playing a part in the lies that we're being fed, right? We're going to see how we can shift our own selves to not participate in that. That's self-mastery. We're going to use the 7 Hermetic principles, a couple of them, to understand the dynamics, the cosmic dynamics of the universe. And Ray, you zeroed in on the first one, which is the principle of mentalism that says this universe is a mental construct. Everything comes from our thought, aka your imagination. Whatever is happening in that very finely vibrating frequency field of thought, it's a very high, fast vibrating field. Every single thing that we experience that consecrates here in the material reality starts as a thought. Buddha said this. What I'm sharing with you are the 7 Hermetic principles. The universe is mental in nature. Everything stems from thought. Okay. But you'll find this truth throughout many different spiritual lineages and understandings. Okay. So that's the first one. Here's the second one. And the second one is the principle of correspondence. That one says, as above, so below, as within, so without. This is the one that just like kick us right in the booty, Miss Ray, because this is the one that says that we have to take personal responsibility for what we're experiencing. Okay. Because we're experiencing a collective reality where we're being fed lies. We have to ask ourselves, where am I lying to myself? And it might not be you're lying to yourself in a way that is maybe manipulative or conscious. All right. We lie to ourselves in the shadow of playing small, of blaming others. Right? So we're really being invited to scour our truth, our own truth, and look at our patterns and say, where am I not taking full ownership for the darkness that I'm creating that I do not want to experience? Right? Because that's what is going to clean it up from us experiencing it in our collective reality. What's pinging in your field as I say that, my friend? I know that you're so tuned in and connected. The guides are probably talking to you too.
It is about it is about stop thinking about you only and the collective. It is how much we, our own actions are affecting the collective as a whole. So we need to be thinking of the collective energy and our part in that.
Mm-hmm. Like fear is a great example. And one reason that I don't watch the news is because there are so many fear programs that are being fed to us that unhinge our nervous system. Okay. And once your nervous system gets hijacked, you are not going to be able to stand in your full authority, your highest potential. You're not going to be able to hold that frequency of peace. And that's one of the ways that we get manipulated and distorted. Okay. So when you start doing the work of doing your meditation practice, right? Doing your breathing work, cleaning up your diet. And it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy the physical 3D reality here, the amazing um, different foods and delicacies and music and sex and connectedness and laughter and wine if you want it, like, right? You're here to have a pleasurable experience. And we need to take care of ourselves and keep ourselves in balance. Some of us tend to overwork and completely overlook that sensuality, that connection with the physical world. My crown's tingling like crazy. Oh yeah, I mean that makes sense, right? If we can create a reality where our belief system tells us we have to overwork, right? And I mean, bringing this back to disclosure, I don't know what you first think about when we talk disclosure, Miss Ray. I think aliens right away, but there's a
Yeah,
lot of different causal
first
planes.
thing.
Right? First thing, but there are a lot of different causal planes on where we can talk about disclosure. I mean, over here in America right now, government, y'all probably know, even though I don't watch the news, it's gotten back to me. Shit going down in the government is crumbling over here. There's disclosure, right? I'm noticing that in my own personal life, there are things that are coming to the surface. There's disclosure. So this is actually happening on all the causal planes. So I got a little, I'm sorry, my short circuited a bit there. Not sure where how I got off track on that, but we are talking about like all of the different layers of disclosure. Oh, I know. So when we get so out of balance with our divine blueprint, with stress and things, we don't tend to tap in and enjoy that central aspect of why we're here. And it becomes really easy to knock us off kilter as humans and to manipulate our power.
It really does. And that's self-love, that self-care is so important that we need to be doing it, to be moving forward. And again, to have that collective energy of peace and understanding and community.
Yes. All right. So should we talk about aliens just a little bit more in this disclosure? Should we take it from the microcosm out to the macro now and talk a little bigger?
Why not? Yeah, let's go big.
Okay. So, Ray, you know my style, and I like to play big. Um, well, let's see. Maybe let's play a little game here. Well, we'll improv just a little bit. So think about disclosure, the disclosure movement. Okay. I sent a friend request to somebody very big in the disclosure movement this weekend on Facebook. I'll give you one guess. Who do you think? And because one guess.
Oh gosh, there are so many people. Michael Salis.
Oh, that's a good one. No, but that's funny. The friend that I shared that it was Dr. Stephen Greer, and he's like,
Oh,
oh,
of course, yes, the other one.
the other one, yeah. But he said, yeah, you got to go for Michael next. All right, so I send Dr. Greer a friend request, and he answered. He not only accepted my request, but he sent me back a very nice message and asked me a question of what I thought was the biggest piece of insight that humanity still needs to discover in order to fully open up our connection with the cosmos. And I thought, wow, what a great question from
Mm.
Dr. Greer. And I got a little nervous. I'm like, just tap into the records, see what the records say, Emily. And so I tapped in. And yeah, they brought me back to this idea of self mastery. And when I started typing my response, I knew that I was channeling through from the records. And they shared it in a language that was really powerful and really different. And they said, once we all start doing our own inner work, and we activate our ability to self heal, right? Which doesn't just mean physically, it means our traumas and where, we back away and we play small. And when we tap into our unique creative genius, when we truly see ourselves as the multidimensional beings we are, perhaps then we can see the other multidimensionality that's happening in the universe.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Such good stuff. Um, And that being said, I know so many of the clients and students that I work with, we go to Mount Shasta, we do CE5, we call them in, we have experiences. I know you have a lot of experiences and your clients have a lot of experiences. So we are raising our vibrational frequency to that place where we can have these kinds of encounters. And for anybody out there who's excited about having encounters, do your own internal work to raise your vibrational frequency and then hold that intention. Ask. And what reveals itself to you, what unfolds, will be mystical and magical. It's reminding me, I've got one of my year-long students right now working with the Pleiadians and
Oh,
channeling through,
wonderful.
yeah, the Palladian energy. And she's also getting a lot of information that is saying like this, the contact and those of us, and I may or may not be one of them. I'm not getting the same messages that she's getting right now. Um, but I might be on like the second tier. But here's what's coming through is there will be first contactees that are being contacted right now, right? I don't know that I'm having conscious contact right now with any of them, although I'm getting like pressure in my head as I'm saying this. Are you getting any conscious contact right now from any of our
Not at
friends,
the
Ray?
not at the moment, but that's because I'm on a slightly different timeline at the moment. From that, which is really interesting. So I'm waiting to see what direction that is going in.
That's fun. Yeah, I'm feeling a lot of like energy in like the frontal lobe of my head right now as we're talking about it. But here's the thing. I even though it'd be really exciting to be on the front lines, I'll be honest with you. I do feel a little bit of trepidation around it still because as I have had encounters before, depending on how close they are, there still is like an adrenaline spike that happens in me and there's some fear, to be
Mm.
perfectly honest, that runs through my being. Like, I'm a mom. I've got 3 kids. Hang on. I'll only go for a ride if you promise to bring me back. Right. So it's really important for us to recognize that when we, as human beings, connected to the collective consciousness, when we have a jolt or a bolt like fear or adrenaline shoot through our body for any reason, whether you had a close encounter of the fifth kind and it scared you a little bit, or whether you watched the news or whatever, that's what you're talking about. We've got to be able to see and take responsibility for how our energetics are affecting the collective. And those are areas where we want to be really, really mindful. We want to get fear out of our broadcast. And when I say broadcast, and I acted out here for you, what I'm showing you, what I'm reminding you is that we're emanating a frequency at all times, right? So cleaning up our own frequency of where we're emanating fear. I don't care if you're fearful and stressed about your finances. Whatever you're fearful about, it doesn't matter. It has the same vibrational frequency that pollutes, stink it up in here, y'all. Okay. So our responsibility is to do our own work to tap back into that place of inner calm, stability. And when we know the truth of who we are and our multidimensionality, y'all, it's so much easier. The trust in the universe gets easier. The trust in yourself gets easier, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And hi, Gemma, for saying hello.
Gemma.
Glad to see you here. And again, it's as you said, doesn't matter what fear you have, fear is fear, happiness is happiness, love is love. And it doesn't matter where it comes from. It is an it is an energetic form that affects not just you but everyone around you as well. So it
Mhm.
doesn't matter what fear or joy you have. The more you tap into whichever one, ideally joy and love, the more it spreads.
Yes. Yes, right? I'm curious of what questions that your audience has, if there are any questions rolling in out there.
Yeah, well, no one's giving any questions. I think they're just listening to what we're saying and actually taking it all in and thinking, oh, okay. But yeah, if you've got any questions about disclosure, Akashic Records, or maybe there's a question that you want to know about disclosure, something from the Akashic Records, feel free
Yeah.
to. You've got Emily here. You know.
Fire away. Yeah.
It's like you've got access to if you don't have your own personal access, you've got some access to the Akashic Records at the moment. Use
Yep.
it.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Feel free to fire up the chat box, everybody. If you want um, readings from the Akashic Records right now, fire up the chat box with what your questions are. Uh, I'm also curious about how many of you have had encounters out there, right? And it's the veils are thinning. So it's not just our extraterrestrial friends, the people who are beings that are off planet. It's also our interdimensional beings and beings of light. So we've got our angels that are here. We've got the fairy realm, the fae realm that's here. We've got our loved ones and ancestors who have passed. Like when the veils thin and we're in a really special eclipse gateway right now where the celestial light that's coming in it's reverberating through Gaia, it's reverberating in our bodies, it's awakening our DNA and our remembrance of our ability to repattern. And so we're reprogramming, restructuring so many things about our life right now with these veils very thin. And that can open up your access through dreamscape, through your dreams, with loved ones or higher dimensional beings, or going to Jedi school. A lot of us go and train in the dreamscape. So just curious as to how life is looking for you guys. Like what's presenting for you right now?
Yeah, and Gemma says she missed the first part. So, and there's about questions as well. So, can just a very quick, brief thing about the Akashic Records, but then also what kind of or how to ask the questions, because I think
Absolutely.
sometimes people don't know how to ask the questions or what kind of questions they can ask.
Right. All right. Well, the easiest way to describe the records is it's like having a crystal ball. Okay, like I have like you look into the crystal ball and you ask whatever question is there, right? All right. So again, reminder, the records are the realm of consciousness that hold all information, past, present, all possible futures, and is recorded from a neutral perspective. Neutral means unconditional love and zero judgment. Okay. The records provide a detailed account of our soul's experience from our past lives to this lifetime to our future lives. And oh, you know what? I actually channeled something really cool about the records. I haven't I'm so happy I found this. I haven't said this out loud yet, but I thought, oh, this is a great way to describe what the Akashic Records do. Okay. I got to read my scribble scrabble writing here, but when it came through, I thought I got to write that down. I'm glad I did. The Akashic Records reveal the nature of your lessons in this lifetime and how to master them.
Makes sense.
Simple, easy, right? So, the lessons in your lifetime, that's your karma. Karma is unlearned lessons. So, I really encourage people ask questions about areas where you feel stuck right now. Because if we can identify the root cause of why you are experiencing that, then you can understand how to shift it and change it.
Yeah. So if that makes sense for you, please type something into the comments. And whilst we're waiting for that to come in, were you going to talk about any more of the Hermetic principles, or were we just going to stick with the
It was interesting because those were the two that came up. Let me see if the guides want to. Are there any more that you're specifically curious about, or just wondering what the guides have to say?
um possibly what the guys want to say. I mean, to me, the first and the second are always the most important ones. And in fact, the second one to me is always the most important um, uh, one.
Well, another one that I find particularly, oh, actually, there are two that I've definitely found important. And here's the thing, guys, there are seven of these, and I've studied them. I studied them at least once a year because I train my students on them in my year-long training. This is the kind of study that you can go back to over and over and over again. Okay, but here are ones that after probably 7 or 8 years of study, the ones that are particularly alive for me right now are the principle of vibration that talks about everything is constantly moving And there are octaves. There's a shadow octave, like you can, the same energy can vibrate and express itself in a shadow octave, right? Just as it can express itself in its highest octave. An example of that is that fear and potential are the same energy, just exercised in opposite directions, right? So I'm noticing that that's really helpful for me to see in terms of my own reprogramming that I'm doing right now. Like I'm seeing areas where my brain goes to lack and notices what I did wrong before congratulating myself on what I did right. So I've hosted 3 live events over the course of March, which is nuts. I didn't mean to do that. I accidentally did that because I didn't check my schedule well enough, right? But at the end of those 3, not only am I exhausted, but my brain is also going through a repatterning period. And I'm noticing I'm being very critical with myself and all the things that I wish that I did differently in the events. But then I snap out of it. I'm like, oh, hang on a second. That's my patterning. That's what I need to reprogram. This is the time to do it, right? Okay, how do I bring myself back to love, acceptance, congratulating myself, right? So same when the fear mind comes up, nope, dial that. That's just your potential, Emily. Dial it back. So that's one that's been really important for me. And the principle of rhythm is another one that says everything ebbs and flows. And recognizing that when I have a decision to make, I check in with myself and I'm able to make quick decisions. That's one thing, and we'll talk about a little gift I have for everybody later that will help you. One of the reasons that you want to have powerful intuition is your ability to know something instantly. And when it comes to decision making for yourself, being able to tap in and instantly know how you feel and to collect that data at that point in time is very valuable. Now, I've learned that in order to actually make the decision, I want to take my temperature at a couple different points along the way because I feel and think differently at different times of the day, depending on how rested I am, depending on how much stress I've had that day. And so I've learned to see myself working through my patterns, my own energetic patterns in different ways. And it's really helped me to understand myself and to give myself more grace at times. Like when I'm depleted, I'm a single mom. Sometimes I snap at my kids and I'll feel bad about it because I've been too depleted. Or for example, I shared that I've just come off these events. One of the events was a very intimate VIP experience for my year-long students in my home. And this is the first time that we've done it in my home. And there were some aspects of my kids that I didn't really take into account on how to properly balance all of those things, right? So this is how the work is showing up, what it looks like for me in my life right now. And I'm all the way from the microcosmic work to how I effed it up with my daughter just a little bit this weekend to, my clients that are getting broadcasts and transmissions from the Pleiadians. This is what it looks like in my life. And somehow it melds all together from feeling very grounded in reality to very exciting and curious and inquisitive to what's happening in the cosmos.
Yeah, beautiful. And I think being inquisitive and asking questions, curiosity, that's the thing, if you're fearful of doing something, yes, but I'm curious, if I was to go and do it, what would happen? So I think curiosity is really great. And Gemma has said money, abundance, and being seen. I'm a musician and healer coach.
Okay, so I guess I got some fun stuff coming in. All right, so it's Jenna or Gemma?
Gemma.
Gemma. So Gemma, here's what's coming in. Ask your guides in your particular starseed family to come in and bring you intelligence and remembrance of how we do things in other star systems. Okay, so here's basically what they're getting at. Other star systems run by different rules of reality there than how we run things here on Earth. And again, it's the collective programs and paradigms that create what we get to experience. But right now, here on this planet, the collective is programmed. One, I mean, I don't know how many of you have seen Unacknowledged, but understand that one of the reasons that a lot of the alien contact and the disclosure, or I should say the hidden information is right now, is because there's free energy technology that would completely break the construct of how our current society is running, because we pay for energy for everything. And when energy is free, that just knocks the whole thing on its butt, right? So we're going to need new paradigms and new constructs, right? Another example of this idea of paradigms and constructs of reality is in other star systems, the way that humanity evolves and moves forward is different. Like in order to procreate life, your ass had to study. Like you got to know what's going on, right? It's not just anybody gets to do it. You must be a very conscious being to do it. Here, it's like we're procreating, and we are continuing to express and ripple through humanity unconsciousness. That doesn't happen everywhere. Okay, money doesn't work the same way, and I think it's the grays, Ray, that it's you choose your job by, it's like you work your way up to getting the job that you want, and you do other things that get you merits in order for you to work your way up. It's not how we are in this system, where we think about, all right, how am I going to make enough money to basically keep the lights on, to live? What am I going to do to give away my time, my energy, my life force energy, my creativity for that? And we go into this slavery paradigm. And part of that slavery paradigm, which is not real, by the way, it's a collective, it's just a storyline that we're collectively playing out here, right? But Gemma, what they're inviting you to do is ask your extraterrestrial ancestors to visit and to remind you of where artistry is naturally expressed and exalted and revered in your star system. So you can enliven that truth and that knowing within you. Because so long as you're plugged into the belief systems that are governing what we experience here, it's going to be challenging for you to fully express and to tap into abundance and prosperity. But we've got to break those old paradigms, and how we bring it through. I mean, I know it sounds very Peter Pan and very Tinkerbell, but how we bring it through is through our imagination. You've got to live that dream, that possibility, and into reality here by feeling it through, reverberating through your cellular structure. So yeah, ask your extraterrestrial ancestors to bring you the codes. Okay. They might do that through dream time. You might get aha moments when you're journaling that don't even feel like it was delivered from your star family. Doesn't matter how you get there. Just be open and receptive, because now that you've asked, they're going to bring you those codes. Does that make sense?
And you know something, I've got a feeling, Gemma, that it's going to come through your music. It's going to be when you're writing your songs.
Oh, of course, that makes sense.
I think, Gemma, that's when, or that's what I'm being told. It's going to be when you're creating your songs. I mean, Gemma does create brilliant songs anyway. But yeah, I can see the information coming through, which might change the dynamics of your songs slightly differently. And I'm also getting changing the frequency of the music to your songs. But
Good stuff.
and Gemma says thank you. No problem, Gemma. It'll be brilliant to when you do. Let us know. I look forward to that music coming through. So anything else on disclosure that the Akashic Records have been talking to you about?
Let's see what they would like us to know right now. Yeah, they've brought this up a couple of times since we've been talking here. They keep bringing up the peripheral vision. and shadows or lights that are coming in through your peripheral. That is contact. Sometimes my eyes are even closed and there's like a blue flash. It's very Arcturian blue. And I think about that as connection with the Arcturians, which is definitely one of my starseed families. Um, so paying attention to what's happening in your peripheral, as well as to remember the CE5 concepts, when we're calling in the extraterrestrials, what we are advised to notice, and again, this is created by Dr. Stephen Greer, is not just what we're seeing happening in the skies, right? Because you can do CE5, you don't have to be outside staring up at the sky, okay? And I'll go back and I'll talk about specifically CE5, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, because I'm hearing everyone might not understand what the different
Yeah.
classifications are, so we can talk about that. But CE5 is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, and that's purposeful contact of humans to our extraterrestrial friends. And when you open yourself to make that contact and you raise your vibrational frequency and then you're open to see what happens, it's not always saucers that shoot across the sky. Sometimes you'll feel a breeze that comes in, or you'll have a wave of emotion that comes over you, or a memory that comes over you. Sometimes you can even hear a rustling in the bush nearby. So it's about being aware of presence and contact, not just in the way that we're expecting it to come in. You don't necessarily have to be outside sky watching. Right? I was in Mount Shasta when I was doing this, which is a place of higher energy anyway. The piezoelectric energy there in Mount Shasta makes it a great place to experience the thinning of the veils and the other dimensional realities. But I remember I was sitting at my Airbnb and doing the CE5, and a being started to move across my phone. Like I thought, oh, as soon as I tilted, you're gonna see my daughter, my screensaver. But so my screen was black like that, right? And this like prismatic being just kept shooting across my screen. I'm like, what the heck, right? So it might not necessarily look like ships in the sky. Although, if you all have any good stories, Ray, if you have any good stories of ships in the sky, tell them, girl.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen any ships in the sky. I just get, I'll get their own flashes of light. Although I am talking to the stars at the moment, and one of my previous guests, Matt Bell, and the He Star protocol is uh, find a star, start talking to it, and ask
Awesome.
it to show you it's alive. Wave at it and watch it rather than it sort of like flashing. It actually moves from side to side, so you've got contact with the star family.
Awesome. That's so cool. I haven't tried that one before. I'm totally trying it tonight.
Yeah.
That's
I've been doing that, but I've not been outside. It's literally from my, bedroom window when the people at the back have got their lights switched out. Because obviously where I am, there's quite a bit of light pollution around
right.
here, so it makes it really quite difficult to actually see the stars half the time here. But yeah, that's something. That's another way of trying to
Mhm.
see what you got rather than expecting a ship. But also look at clouds.
Yes.
Yes. Clouds are quite often are ships often disguised as clouds.
Yep. Okay, so I will tell you guys the classification system of the CE5s, and I'll tell you a story about clouds all at once here for you. All right. All right. So we talked about CE5. That's Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. These classifications go from 1 to 5. Actually, there are some that go beyond 5 now. We're classifying other ones higher up, but we'll just talk about 1 through 5 today. So Close Encounters of, well, let's just go totally out of order and just confuse the heck out of you guys. Why don't we? Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right? That was a movie. Steven Spielberg created the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and that's when you're seeing the ships and the drivers and you're having a whole experience, okay? But let's start with Close Encounters of the First Kind and what that is. Close Encounters of the First Kind is a sighting. simply a sighting. So it can be ships in the sky, lights in the sky, it can be clouds. And one of the most intense experiences I had, right, was in Shasta with clouds, and then I saw the actual ships. So a close encounter of the first kind, and this is the one that scared me and made me realize, okay, I got some work to do. So the lenticular clouds, it's kind of silly because they actually look like UFOs. I'm like, y'all, if you're going to disguise yourself, I guess that makes it obvious for us when we look at them, right? But the cloud cloaking technology, especially in Mount Shasta, looks like the lenticular clouds, and they look like pancakes stacked on top of each other, or like actual ships. And so I wake up one morning, this same Airbnb, but a different time when the thing was flashing across my phone. I wake up and I see these lenticular clouds there, and they are just sparkling red and dancing with like pastel colors, but not moving. They just stay there for an hour. I'm like, y'all are showing off. There's going to be some ships coming. Like, I'm playfully kind of hanging out and talking to the clouds. Playfully open to the experience, right? So I continue my morning meditation. I'm having my coffee. About an hour's gone by now. I'm staring at the clouds. I get up to go get another cup of coffee, and I get like a little ping in my mind. I think it's just my mind thinking stuff that says, get your phone. You know, like they're coming. You want to film it. And I had been in Mount Shasta shooting a documentary. This was the first day off that I had. I thought, I don't want to, I've been filming all week. I don't want to film anything. So I ignored the ping and I left my phone. But I got more coffee, and I came back with my coffee. And as I'm coming in, I'm looking at the clouds that I've been staring at, and I see what looks like a swarm of bees. Like, it reminds me of the Bee Movie, coming over the mountain. And I'm like, oh, I haven't seen a swarm of bees like that since the bee. And then I'm thinking, hang on a second, those aren't bees. That's too far. Those, you can't see bees that far away. I'm like, oh, they're birds. And I'm looking close. I'm like, those aren't birds. As they're getting closer, Ray, I'm like, holy F, those are ships.
Wow.
They looked like the literal Star Wars ships, right? The ones that have like a ball in the center and then like the legs coming out. Probably 200 of them flying in formation. And my heart starts pounding. I'm surprised I didn't spill my coffee all over. I'm shaking. Because here's what went through my human mind as they're getting closer and closer and closer. I'm like, holy F, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Like, there's a reality check right there, right? And then I'm thinking, are they coming for me? Right? I'm like, shit. And then I think, like, why didn't I get my phone? Like, I should have listened to myself, right? And so, these are the nanosecond of thoughts that are going through my mind as I'm watching this in disbelief, like totally reality checking myself. And they come swarming over the mountain. Then they line up one by one and drop into the mountain. And I'm like, and here's the other weird thing is I didn't think to tell anyone about it for the next 24 hours. So I've also noticed that when I have weird encounters, it's like it's wiped from my short-term memory as I'm processing it. And then I remember later and I'm like, holy crap, I can't believe I didn't tell you guys about this. So that's an example, and it doesn't have to be that intense. It might just be, you might see something shoot across the sky, or you might like notice the rustling. But that's close encounters of the first kind is when we witness some kind of contact, okay? Close encounters of the second kind is when evidence gets left behind. That's like a crop circle or a piece of metal, non-terrestrial, something from the ship. That can be an example of close encounters of the second kind. Close encounters of the third kind include an eyewitness of another being. Close encounters of the fourth kind are abduction of humans, which, by the way, I do feel like we have agreed to. We have full autonomy, and we are sovereign beings at all times, even when it feels like we've gotten taken. That's my stance on that. And then there's close encounters of the fifth kind, where we're doing purposeful contact to bring in connection, which requires different ways of raising our vibrational frequency and just becoming aware, right?
Yeah. which and as said, there are more, but they're just sort of like coming in at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see where that goes, as more and more things are disclosed and more information comes out, more files are declassified, more people come forward and start talking about their experiences. It's going to be really interesting to see where things go with the different close encounters, and the different codes and numbers that are actually going to come in. So yeah, we are so blessed to be alive at this moment in time,
Yeah.
even with all the chaos and everything going on. We are so lucky that we chose to come here at this moment in time, because we are witnessing and experiencing things that our ancestors have never ever encountered. Well, maybe our first ancestors, but that we've never encountered, where we can actually be part of this change, where we're doing the change isn't coming from other beings or other control aspects of what we should be doing. We are now in a time where we're taking back control ourselves, as you said, autonomy. We are going to be in charge of the future of the collective.
Yes. Yes. That's powerful, Ray. I feel that we are in charge of our future.
Yep, absolutely. So, as you know, I do guided meditations and angel oracle cards readings, and each week I like to ask my guests whether they would like me to do a mini guided meditation or pull an oracle card for themselves and those watching. So, Emily, what would you like me to do?
Oh, I will take the guided meditation, please.
Okay. Well, I'm
You
actually
knew did you know I was going to take that one?
I did, but I want to do card as well. So
Okay.
we're going to do a brief guided meditation from the card itself. So the card that yourself and okay, we'll go with that one that's come out. So close your
Did it
eyes.
jump? Did I get
It
a
come.
jumper?
We've got a jumper. So everyone watching, if you're not doing anything, close your eyes, and as you do, take a deep breath in. And on the out breath, just release everything from this moment in time. And just allow your body to relax. Think about relaxing your whole body. Think about relaxing your whole body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, all the way down your arms to your fingertips. But when you think about relaxing, so you will relax. Give yourself permission and allow yourself to relax. And just allow that relaxation to move down through your head, down into your neck, down into your shoulders as they start to drop, down your arms into your hands, feeling so relaxed. As that relaxation moves into your upper body, and you feel your chest muscles start to relax, your stomach muscles relax, the whole of your back relaxing, your spine relaxing, your hips, your pelvis, your buttocks relaxing you, sinking you deeper down where you are sitting or lying. As that relaxation moves all the way down your legs to your feet and your toes. And you are just so relaxed. And I'm going to count you down from 5 to 1. And when you get to 1, you're going to step out into a beautiful mountain range. So let's start walking down the stairs now. 5. Going deeper down the stairs, 4. Deeper down the stairs, 3. More and more relaxed. Deeper down the stairs, 2. All the way down the stairs, 1. And you find yourself in a beautiful mountain range. Now, going from this mountain range is a thin wooden bridge, a narrow pathway that's going to take you from one part of the mountain to another mountain. And as you look down, you can just see lots of clouds. You can't see the bottom, but you don't feel afraid. You feel strong. You feel confident. You know that you can trust your intuition. You know your thoughts. And you know when you think about getting across, walking across this space, you know that you are going to tread thoughtfully across it because you've already seen yourself walking across it. So step onto that bridge now, feeling safe, secure, and start to tread thoughtfully across that bridge. And as you do, what thoughts are coming into your mind? What guidance are you being given about where you are supposed to be going next? Just allow each step, every tread, be thoughtful, guiding. Just keep going. You're safe, secure. Before you know it, you've reached the other side and you feel so wonderful, so empowered that you have done this. You have taken that step. You have created a beautiful pathway for you, bringing in that strength that you have. You know that where you trod thoughtfully, you created the most perfect opportunities for you. And in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5, each ascending number bringing you back to the present, to the here and now, remembering your whole journey, bringing back that sense of achievement, of knowing that you can do anything when you tread thoughtfully. So coming back now, 1, coming further back, 2, all the way the back 3, know that you're going to feel great. Further back 4, all the way back 5, fully back, fully present. Move your body, wiggle your fingers and toes, open your eyes, stretch, and welcome back.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I had a great adventure. Oh, it was so good.
Oh, wonderful. And if you were watching and you want to share, please do. You don't have to. Obviously, I know this is all public for you. And if you want to go back and listen to it again, please do. But the card that came out was Narrow Pathway, Tread Thoughtfully.
Beautiful.
And that's so, you know, what it is saying, you know, the guided meditation covered that, but what it is saying, you know, even if the pathway seems narrow and there's not much wiggle room, when you tread thoughtfully, you actually create the space and the momentum that it doesn't matter that it's narrow, it will expand outwards for you.
Mm,
So
powerful. Thank you.
yeah, I love that card came out, and the fact it was mountains as well, as you've been talking about Mount Shasta, and we've been talking about star beings coming in. So, Emily, do you have any last thoughts or words of wisdom to leave our viewers?
Let's see what the records have to say for last words of wisdom. Whew, they're going right into self love. And work on self love, everybody. Even if you feel like you've already exhausted that, like get back in there, go deeper. That's one of the fastest ways to raise our vibrational frequency. And that's key for disclosure. And each one of you having your own personal encounters, if that's what you desire, is to raise your vibrational frequency. So, self love is a great way to do it. And we'll have so many other positive and powerful ripple effects for you in your journey of consciousness and healing and creating the life that we were all meant to live in: power, peace, and plenty. Right. So just keep up the good self love work, guys. That's what the records are saying to focus on for all of us.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Emily. Thank you so much, Akashic Records. So I hope everyone you've enjoyed this conversation and found it insightful, because I know I have. I always do when Emily comes on the show. So if people want to connect with you, Emily, how do they do that? And do you have anything coming up at the moment, or any free offers, gifts to share?
Yes, I would love everybody who is here to check out the free gift. It is an intuitive development training that will teach you how to access and strengthen your intuition, which is your ability to know something instantly, so that it can become a reliable source of wisdom for you in just 15 seconds a day. Okay, this is really going to help open up the divine feminine aspects of our energy, which is where your intuitive gifts, the magic, your ability to be compassionate, graceful with yourself, like this, the divine feminine is going to lead you out, all of us out of this challenge. Like everything is birthed through the divine feminine. And so the health, the new perspective of this planet will be birthed through that energy. And this is a really cool training that makes it fun, very easy to do, very practical. It will help you, like we said, not only make more powerful decisions, but it will help you get more clear messages from your higher self, your guides, your angels, and put you in a space of creation, creativity, and empowerment to think differently about your life. Because you're going to be using a different part of your brain, which will ignite that those new thoughts to come in. So I highly recommend everyone check out this training. If you want to get in touch with me, simply shoot me an email, emily@theakashicacademy.com. Yeah, let me know what's going on with you and how you think I can help, and we'll definitely figure out how to best support you, whether it's a call or some of our trainings, or I might not be the right person to help you, but I will definitely point you in the right direction of who can help you. So I'll just really encourage people to um, let down the formalities and reach out.
Beautiful. And I will put the links in the comments so you can actually go straight there. And Sue says, thank you, ladies, such a beautifully informative presentation. And Neil Carey says, awesomeness. Beautiful. Thank you for letting us know. And of course, if you are ready for even more clarity and transformation, then I'd love to invite you to a free live Soul Path Discovery one-to-one video call, where during our time together, I'll pull a couple of angel or oracle cards to help you gain clarity and uncover guidance from your higher self or the angels. This is your chance to reflect, connect, and gain insight into your path forward. And I would be truly honored to chat with you one to one, to guide you and help you take the next step towards the life you're meant to live. And of course, I also do have a couple of incredible free gifts for you, designed to help you connect more deeply with your guides and angels and explore your future. So do check out the link in the comments. And again, I'd like to thank everyone so much for watching. And I'd like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more people who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny just like you. And of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, then, it's free to subscribe. And if you hit that bell button, you can be notified when this show goes live. Also, my other show, Oracle Cards and Meditation, Your Weekend Research, which goes out live every Friday at 3 p.m, or I post new guided meditations. And every Wednesday at 8 p.m. UK, 12 p.m. Pacific, Emily goes live with Akashic Answers with Emily. So again, you can check that out on Facebook or YouTube. And remember, every time you like, share, subscribe, anything that I offer, my guests offer, then you're really helping that collective energy and bringing in that beautiful high vibe of information and allowing people to take charge of their own destiny. And I look forward to seeing you all same time, same place next week. Take care, everyone. Bye.